on Skype with Karlee Porter. Hey, Karlee.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. Let me tell everybody how this is kind of happening. You ran into me at Spring Market, which was
Hmm.
in Salt Lake City, Utah,
Yep.
and you showed me your book, which is Graffiti Quilting. Yes, and self-published, right?
It's self-published, yep.
Nice. And you start talking a little bit, and I go, man, we have got to do a Skype on this. And just everybody, Karlee and I have been talking now for, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes. And this is going to be a two-part Skype because she has so much to talk about.
Yeah, I'm
So,
long-winded.
yeah, right. So, no, you're not. You're very articulate. So, Karlee, tell everybody about you and how you came about to graffiti quilting.
Okay. Well, I have been an artist since I can remember. Everyone asks me, so I'll just say it right now. I'm 25 years old, so we'll get that
What?
out of the way. Yeah.
You're
People are always like
45?
25.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you're 25. Oh my gosh, you almost gave me a heart
25.
attack. Okay, 25. Perfect. Yes. What's your genes? That's what I would have guessed in your mid 20s.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been an artist since I can remember. In fact, like I was just showing Alex my sketchbooks from, forever ago. So ever since I can remember, I knew I always was going to be an artist when I grew up. That was always my aptitude and always my passion. Um, so I grew up in a city called Ogden, Utah, which is about 30 miles north of Salt Lake City. And you probably, if you have heard of me, you've probably heard of me be it from graffiti quilting. So that's the reason that I named it that is because growing up, I grew up in an area that had a decent amount of Hispanics in the culture, in the population. So, yeah, I grew up just, knowing how to cook Mexican food, knowing how to play soccer, looking at lowrider cars and learning how to break dance. Like that was just our culture growing up, learning words in Spanish, having Spanish immersion within school because there were just so many Hispanics. So a big part of that culture was seeing graffiti, the kind of hip hop realm. And so by the time I got into high school, all my art friends, we had like our own tag name, and I never illegally did graffiti, but
But you have done graffiti.
yeah, I've studied
Nice.
it. In fact, like I have one design in one of my old journals. This was like me trying to do graffiti as if I had seen it on a wall. So it's kind of fun to look back on my old journal entries and see how if you look at my current quilts, there's such a huge correlation, but it's a lot more polished now than it used to be. Um,
But
so
those books are treasures. I mean, they
they
are treasures.
yeah, it's nice to have them because one, it makes me see that I've made progress, that I'm better than I was in high school, but also to see that that passion has stayed with me throughout the different ages of my life. So as I was kind of studying graffiti and learning different styles and stuff like that, my art was always more illustrative than realistic. My art teacher would say, "Look at your palm and draw it," and I'd be like, "No, I don't want to. That's hard." So I would just slap my hand down and trace it, and then draw designs all over it. And because luckily I had a teacher that would give us credit as long as we were producing something. So I just never stopped producing. So in 2009, right after I graduated high school, I never knew that a quilting machine was like a thing. Like my mom and my grandma quilted with the 2x4 frames, but I never knew that machines existed. And then I got hired by Handy Quilter. They're just in Salt Lake City. And I was building subcomponents and different parts and testing machines for them. And that's where I learned the quilting aspect of my work. So basically, all of the art that I had been doing for 15 years prior, I just started putting it on fabric with thread. And then, a few years down the line in 2014, that's when graffiti quilting was officially born and the book was
So
written.
you're the mother of it. Excuse me.
Yeah,
You're it's early in the morning here in California, everyone. Sorry about that. So show us a couple pieces inside your book, a couple pages, please.
sure. So the book is basically separated into four sections. First one talks about like, oh, that's my headshot my husband took. Him, he's such a good photographer. He even makes me look good. So the first one is weapons of choice. So that shows kind of the materials I like to use when I do graffiti quilting. because it's so much different than traditional quilting. You know, like the quilt police will always say, never overstitch your lines and everything should be symmetrical and you mark everything first and then quilt it second. And I was like, I don't like any of those rules, so I'm going to just do it myself. And so it talks about the different types of fabric and batting that I like to use. And then the second section shows like basically how you can take a ton of different designs and introduce them to each other in different ways to get a unique combination with each one. So this just shows that these are very, very simple designs that if you can master those and add each one of those to your toolbox, so to speak, then when you go to do graffiti quilting, you don't have to plan anything out because you just already know that you have a wrench and a screwdriver and a hammer and some nails. You have all these things in your toolbox that you just throw them out whenever you feel like and put them on your quilt because you've done that work in the past to study those things.
Now, the other thing I want to let everybody know is that you are currently a college student.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm about halfway to my bachelor's. So
in fine art.
Yep, Bachelor of Fine Arts with an emphasis on graphic design.
So when you get assignments, do you go to cloth 99% of the time?
So far, yeah. Well, I always think to myself, even when I have to work in other mediums like watercolor or gouache, which I hate gouache, it's not. I love watercolor though. But anytime I work in like a two-dimensional medium, I pretty much am always like, okay, I'm just going to print this onto fabric and make a quilt out of it too. Because for me, the quilting is the real where I shine artistically. So I think if I can watercolor something that's pretty decent and then enhance it with quilting, that's like where the most fun is for me. So it's fun to apply all of my school assignments to see how they can work into my quilts.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. This is just, I'm sure everybody watching this has become very enamored with you, as did I in Salt Lake City. She came up to me and said, can I introduce myself? And you were kind of shy about it too, right? It's adorable.
Well, because it's like celebrity status.
Nah. And so in setting up this interview, everyone, you've met Karlee now. She's adorable. And I think she has something very, very different to show. So we're going to close down this interview. But guess what? She's agreed to give us a lesson on our next interviews. So it'll be in the next newsletter. Stick around. And you'll do that for us, right, Ladybug?
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll make even more sense to when you see the demonstration if you get the book. So if you want the book, go to karleeporter.com and pick it up, and I'll sign it for you and write
you better sign them.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, well, have a good rest of the day, okay?
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.